Hi there, this is Thijs from Varnish Software. Welcome to another episode of 2-Minute Tech Tuesdays. In this episode, we'll talk about Varnish NCSA, a tool that you can use to produce web server logs in Varnish. I'll put 2 minutes on the timer and tell you all about it. Let's address the NCSA part first. It's short for National Center for Supercomputing Applications, and it's the organization that invented the NCSA HTTPD web server back in 1993. Because they were early on in the game, they also invented the corresponding log format, which is now an industry standard. We call it the NCSA Common Log Format and contains the following fields. It starts with the host or client IP, the log identifier, authenticated user, the date and time, the first line of the request, the status code, and the bytes transferred. There's also an extended log format called the NCSA Combined Log Format. It contains the same information but also has the referrer and the user agent. It will come as no surprise that Varnish NCSA can produce the same style of logging output, which is particularly interesting given the position of Varnish. Because Varnish sits in front of the web server and receives all the incoming requests, it can reliably produce web server logs. But the server can't, because if the proper caching is applied, not every request ends up on the server. All these logs are stored in the VSL, the Varnish Shared Memory Logs. And this is a circular memory buffer in shared memory stored inside the Varnish D runtime process. This shared memory can be consumed by tools like Varnish NCSA, but also Varnish Log. I wanted to show to you what Varnish Log returns in terms of output. It's very verbose, so there's tons of information. But Varnish NCSA only returns the core information under the form of a single log line. While Varnish NCSA returns output in the NCSA combined format, you can extend the format using a variety of shortcodes. Here's a table containing all the possibilities. This also ranges from request and response headers, but also internal VCL and VSL variables. The options are truly limitless. Through the "-f uppercase option, we can specify a custom log format and, for example, inject the Varnish handling variable, which returns whether or not the request resulted in a cache hit, a cache miss, or a cache bypass. If you want to use Varnish NCSA in production, you might want to consider demonizing the process. If you use the official packages, there's already a systemd service for Varnish NCSA, allowing you to run it as a daemon. And that was a brief introduction about Varnish NCSA. Of course, there's a lot more to be said about the technology, both about Varnish NCSA and the overarching VSL technology. We can talk about rate limiting, we can talk about output filtering, we can talk about customizing the output to your exact needs, but of course this doesn't fit into a 2-minute video. I'd like to thank you for checking this video out, and I'll be back next week with more content presented to you in 2 minutes or less.